Hello there, and welcome to Treasure Quest, a weekly program brought to you by the Fairbanks Museum and designed to introduce our viewers to some of the remarkable artifacts that are part of the museum collection. Artifacts that are on view for those of us who live in St. Johnsbury and the surrounding communities, but which many of us have never seen. My name is Bill Eddy, and over the next few weeks I shall be your host on Treasure Quest. During that time, I'm going to choose one object each week to explore with you something of its history, its cultural background, but particularly its meaning. Of course, my real goal is to tempt you to visit the museum itself, where we hope to have on display some of the objects from the different programs, along with more information in case you want to explore an object further on your own. Let's begin our first journey a long distance away from here in both space and time. I want to take us back to a great kingdom that flourished in southeastern India between the 7th and 12th centuries after Christ's birth. It was called the Chola dynasty, famous for its powerful navy, its great temples, and for its beautiful bronze religious sculptures. This one is called Shiva Nataraja, Shiva the cosmic dancer, the great Hindu deity of both creation and destruction, who is still actively worshipped in Indian temples today. The maker is unknown, but the original bronze figure cast by the lost wax process is considered to be equal to the finest work in gold by the famous Italian Renaissance sculptor Benvenuto Cellini, some 500 years later. The dancing Shiva is one of the best loved and by far the most imitated of any religious sculpture in India. And yet its meaning remains inaccessible to most Westerners. The flailing arms and legs, the strange helmet of hair, the dancer's raised foot about to step on a dwarfish creature lying on the ground beneath. All this seems only a mass of confusion taking place in the middle of a great circle made up of points of fire. Let's look at it more closely and try to find some kind of order in the chaos. I want to begin with the dancer's upper right hand outstretched. It holds a tiny drum, or rattle, and around the narrow waist of the drum, which looks like an hourglass, is a string tied with a pebble. And when the dancer twists the little drum in his hand, the pebble strikes the drum surfaces like a rattle, and it establishes the rhythm of the dance. It is very much related to Hindu belief in the importance of sound in space. And it represents for them the most important element of all the natural elements in the world, the element of ether, as they call it, which then is followed by the element of air and fire and water and earth. These are all signified, all the elements of creation are signified in the sound of the little drum, because sound is the way speech is carried, and incantations are carried, and rituals are carried. So sound for the Hindus is very, very important. And the sound of the spoken word, the chanting, the priest's incantations, all of these are carried on sound, as sound in space. One cannot but think of the story of the creation from the New Testament and the Gospel according to St. John, in which we are told, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." How closely this follows the Hindu idea that the first word spoken in the silence of space marks the very moment of creation. All the way across the sculpture on the other side is the left hand, and it holds a flame. And whereas the drum represents the moment of creation of the whole universe in the hands of Shiva, on the other hand is a flame which destroys everything in its path. So we have the perfect balance between creation and destruction in this one object.